It might actually happen now. Brandon Aiyuk to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or at least we're one step closer to it actually happening because Aiyuk has officially requested a trade from San Fran. So it's looking very likely that he's not going to be with the 49ers. But then you got to think, all right, who's his next team? And from everything we've known thus far this offseason, the Steelers are one of the top 2 or 3 teams on Aiyuk's list, and probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams that have been interested in Aiyuk from the start. So it seems like a perfect match if this trade request is serious, which all signs point to it being, because this was reported by Mike Garafolo from NFL Network. And this has been the case the whole time too with Aiyuk and the Niners. I've never really thought that Aiyuk was going to be back with them. And this doesn't mean officially he's not going to be back with them because the Niners still have him under contract for this upcoming year. And technically, they would have his rights for the following year because they could franchise tag him. And I was listening to Niners reporter, too, drop a little history lesson on how the Niners handled Deebo Samuel's situation. It was similar. Deebo Samuel requested a trade, but they were able to get a contract done before training camp. So it's not official yet, but all signs are pointing to Aiyuk being out from the 49ers. This has been this way pretty much from the start of the offseason. You had just the rumors, the back and forth between John Lynch saying, yo, we want Aiyuk, we're trying to get him a contract. There's just some negotiations going on behind the scenes. But then Aiyuk's taking to social media and saying, don't listen to anything the 49ers or the front office is saying because it's all a bunch of bullshit. Niners end up drafting a receiver, Ricky Pearsall, in the first round. Aiyuk continues on social media saying that the Niners don't want me. They have a meeting. It seems like the meeting's going well, but Aiyuk's asking for a certain number. The Niners are offering $26 million. They can't come to agreement on that, and we don't even know what degree of the contract is guaranteed either. It could just be monopoly money that the Niners are offering because they said they want to give him 26. I think that's fair, but how much of that 26 per year is guaranteed? So who knows what's going on? Either way, Aiyuk and the Niners have not been seeing eye to eye at all throughout the course of this offseason. So I thought that was going to be inevitable. But now we get to the point of what's his next team? What would the trade offer be? And we've heard some mixed reports with the Steelers. There's obvious interest there. Obvious interest. From the very start, the Steelers were talking to the 49ers about potentially trading a draft pick to get Aiyuk here. It was us and the Jaguars. That was going back to March. So we've always been in the mix. And then you have Aiyuk on the pivot, even saying that he would be interested in going to the Steelers. If he's not on the Niners, the other 2 teams he could see himself playing for are the Commanders and the Steelers. So there's mutual interest. He also had the Mike Tomlin tweet way back a couple months ago, too. Hey, Mike Tomlin, they say we look alike. What do you think? That doesn't mean nothing. There's obviously something there. You just don't tweet that out randomly out of nowhere. And I think up to that point, he hadn't tweeted out anything in months. It might have been half a year. And all of a sudden, he's tweeting at Mike Tomlin. So there's obviously been mutual interest. There's been some reports that have said the Steelers have cooled off the idea of Aiyuk, they're interested, but with how the whole situation is handled or has been handled by Aiyuk, they don't know if they want to give up premium assets to bring him in here, and not sure how well he would mesh with the locker room or just the state of the team. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. But if you get him for the right price and not have to give up a first-round pick or second-round pick and get him at a reasonable number, not $30 million, not $31, $32 million, but maybe something along the lines of $25 million, and you're giving up a third-round pick. I mean, second-round pick I can deal with. I think most of us can deal with a second-round pick, but if we can get a good offer, if we can get the price being right, and if we can get a contract that Aiyuk's happy with, why not? Why not? That's going to be the question, though. Is Aiyuk stuck on $30 million, or is he just pissed off about the 49ers? Would he be willing to take $25, $26 million somewhere else? Now, the trade request, that should help leverage for Aiyuk and the team that's potentially trading for him. It should, because now with just this player empowerment era, not only in the NFL, but across a lot of sports leagues, they do have some say in where they go. Because the team that's trading for a player doesn't want to get a guy that's going to be disgruntled or is not going to sign a long-term deal to be with that team. They don't want any part of that. So if Aiyuk has his list of these are the three teams that I want to go to, that helps the Steelers in negotiations for sure. And that should help the Steelers in orchestrating a contract with Aiyuk too. Yeah, I think that's going to be the big sticking point, really. That's the two things, and that's usually the two things with almost every trade is what do you got to give up to get the player, and then what's the contract. Whenever the player comes here, if they're on or in the type of situation Aiyuk's in with the Niners and having contract talks and contract disagreements, like what's going to be that new contract when he goes to the new team. Those are going to be the sticking points. So we're kind of talking about the same thing we have this whole offseason. It's just that now Brandon Aiyuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers. Maybe we shouldn't go completely overboard with it. Maybe it's just a leverage tactic by Aiyuk to get the Niners to give him the number that he wants. But, I mean, all signs are pointing to him not being with the 49ers anymore. Like, if you officially request a trade, typically that means you're going to be traded. Typically that does. I'd actually say the Deebo Samuel scenario that I brought up at the beginning, that's more of an outlier when you talk about players, specifically star players, asking out. Omar Khan, this might be the time. You've been waiting in the wings this whole time and saying to yourself, we're not gonna make a move until the moment's right, until the price is right. Now might be the time. Now might be the time. So let me know your thoughts with this new Aiyuk information. Could happen, man. We're like, a week away from training camp? It could definitely happen because there is some time sensitivity going on right now because we're a week away from training camp. And I feel like if you're going to get a new player in-house, you're going to want him there for your practices and training camp and preseason, all that, to get acclimated to the system. It may happen soon. It may happen sooner rather than later. Now, I don't know who has, I don't know how the leverage has shifted here when you're talking about Aiyuk and the Niners. Because going back to what I said, Niners still have Aiyuk under contract for this year. They have the franchise tag opportunity the following year. And if Aiyuk doesn't show up for anything, then he's just going to get fined. But if you're the Niners, you don't want to be dealing with this. If you're trying to repeat as NFC champions and just get everything back on track, you don't want any toxicity going on within your team and within your locker room. And having this Brandon Aiyuk situation looming over as training camp starts, that's not a good vibe. Definitely not a good vibe. He obviously does not want to be there anymore. Has just made an official trade request. So if they take the Steelers approach, you want volunteers, not hostages, then they're going to be more apt to trade him than hang on and figure this out. We'll wait and see, man. We'll wait and see. I just think this is another stepping stone to Brandon Aiyuk being traded from the Niners and potentially landing here in Pittsburgh. But again, let me know your thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.